that would mean that European series are all better than American ones, and I don't think that's always true. No, I think it's maybe more ambitious than you sometimes see on television. What can I say? People like it, then I'm happy. Yeah, except that sounds like a strange road trip comedy. So I think, look, Hannibal is Hannibal. Everybody knows Hannibal. Everybody loves Hannibal, and he's the heart of the show, because without him, you just have a load of policemen. So no, I think it makes perfect sense. But it's true, we start out through my character, through Will, through his eyes, and that's how we go into the world. It's pretty gory. I mean, it has its moments, but I don't think that's the point of the show, right? The idea is that it's horror, but it's elegant horror. That's the phrase that we always had in our minds. And we want to freak people out, but not just by killing lots of, not just having victims piling up. We want to build up the suspense, build up the psychology of the characters, and maybe kill a few people along the way. I watched it with some of them, and then obviously I heard from others. They seem to love it, but then they are my friends. I mean, I don't know what they would say if they didn't, but I think people are really taken by this new version of the story, this prequel. Like I said, I think we tried to make it as elevated as possible, so it's not just about, I don't know, so it really doesn't look, I think, like any show that you've seen, and people seem to respond to that. Well, I've eaten with Mads a lot, and I've cooked for him, so I guess at some point then he will have to return the favor. I like to learn, right? So I like to follow a recipe and then mess it up and then try, and then go from there. Cooking something Spanish? No, I think, let me think. Oh, yeah, well, tortilla, I suppose. That's about the extent of my efforts. Like, I tried paella and it would be just horrific, so I'll leave it at that. Well, in my experience, the darker a show or a movie, or the feel of the thing you're working on, usually the lighter the feeling on the set, because you balance it out. So, on the other hand, any actor will tell you that eating, like a meal, is not that fun because you have to eat it about 12 times, right? So you'll usually see actors do a lot of this. They go, oh, yes, because once you put it in your mouth, you got to keep doing it. I mean, am I going to get held to this? Are you planning something? No. I don't know. I think truth is you don't know, right? Until it happens, until you're on the hillside. I don't think you know. You don't know if you're a leader, and you don't know if you're on the menu. Except that I don't think, well, I guess we all have different styles, right? I think Lawrence is very specific, and Maz is so kind of surgical, and I don't know what I do, but I fit in there somewhere. But yeah, we don't have strange names, we just, but it does feel like it's a very elevated cast. It's a very, very strong cast. Too soon to be sharing breakfast? Well, they have a very strange link, these two men. It's like they've never met anybody else that can understand them the way that they seem to understand each other. Now, of course, in reality, Will doesn't know Hannibal at all, because he has no idea. He doesn't see, as we say, the elephant in the room, right? But nonetheless, there's a part of their brains that are completely unique and that they have in common. So I think that there is a kind of a love there, right? and that's why, as the show goes on, and you see Hannibal like putting his thumb on Will, on the balance, that it's particularly sick. I think that maybe Chilton is the last character specifically from Thomas Harris's universe in this season. But there are other characters that are kind of composites. That they're different characters that have gone in together, and there are Brian can talk about this like all day and all night. Little things he's dropped in that, if we come back and do another season, and that he'll expand and open up. So he's always thinking about, okay, how do we keep going in the direction of that first novel, because we're in the prequel and we're going to end up at Red Dragon, and he wants to, he wants to chart that journey, I guess. I will say that I think that of everything I've worked on, this show has the most dramatic journey. The character that I play, Will, has an incredible journey that he goes on, and where we end up, if people have followed the show, they will be, I think, thrilled and kind of astonished by the transformations that are happening in all the characters. And we had David Slade, who directed the first episode, come back and finish the last. So it has that kind of circularity to it. It's going to be very strong.